can't do this.
You must.
What's up, everybody? Greg and Chastity here for our spoiler-filled review of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Now we're going to break down part 1 and dive into all the Easter eggs and hidden references that you may have missed.
Warning, there are major spoilers ahead, so please go check out the show, then come on back. And also subscribe to Universe for your chance to win this Thanos Funko Pop. Click the link in the description below for details. Also, check out our video on the history of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay, Chastity, what'd you think?
I thought it was very good. It was a lot darker than I expected to be. I expected it to be a lot more like Riverdale, and what I got was more like Buffy, which is a good thing.
Okay.
With shades of Harry Potter as well.
Yes, a lot.
Yes, definitely. And so it's more like a coming-of-age story mixed in with witchcraft and mythology and demonology, and I thought that was great. And while I have some issues with Sabrina, we'll get back to that later, I thought that Kiernan Shipka did a good job as Sabrina.
I loved it. The horror, the core idea, really strong. The world building of the school and the Church of Night, great stuff. It's very Harry Potter. The only faults I had were, the 50s aesthetic, which is really good and really strong, but the anachronisms that they added to it, because it's present day.
Which you're not clear about at first.
Drove me insane for a little bit. Even, going, okay, it's present day, but still, it's really tough because they stick to their aesthetic so hard. And the camera work at the beginning.
With the fisheye lens?
Yeah, the first 3 episodes or so, that was driving me insane. They got rid of it halfway through the season, and for that, good idea.
Let's talk about what worked. So first, the Spellman family. I loved her family, Zelda, Hilda, and Ambrose. Ambrose, best member of the family. Like him a lot. I thought he was really interesting, and he has such a cool backstory.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know more.
The Vatican?
Yeah.
What?
What?
Why?
I want a flashback episode where all of these things happened.
I have a feeling that's going to show up.
Probably, in part 2. What do you think of Sabrina's aunts?
Oh, man. Okay, first of all, hilarious.
Yes, very funny.
The script really works with the family dynamic more than anything else, I think. We'll talk about the friends a little bit later, but when it comes to her family, great acting.
Yes.
Great acting from top to bottom.
Believable bond between all of them together.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff.
Some days, some nights, I dream that I am walking into the Greendale woods in the peak of dry season with a lit torch in each hand, so that I watch the whole forest burn like so much kindling. Have a lovely little sleep, my darling.
Again, the world building, just the spells they use, each and every spell, you're thinking, is this the craft? What's going on here?
And the school, I really like
the architecture.
unseen arts. Yeah.
It's perfect. It's really, they did an immaculate job when it comes to just the look. When you close your eyes and open it and you're like, okay, where am I? Oh, this is definitely Sabrina. Yeah. This is definitely a world of witches and warlocks and everything else going on there. I loved it.
Speaking of the Academy of Unseen Arts, my favorite student at that school was Prudence, for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought she was great. I thought she showed a lot of range throughout the season. She's very much like Queen Bee Mean Girl at the beginning, very Regina George, and then she
House
shows
of Slytherin also,
House of Slytherin with shades of Malfoy, for sure. And then she shows a lot of growth, and like that episode where she wants to be queen, and then she and Sabrina kind of take, they team up.
She's like, well, dude,
against Lady Blackwood.
Yeah. Let's think about this for a second.
It was good. It was good. I liked her growth. And then at the end, she becomes full Prudence again, very Malfoy, when she blames everything on Sabrina. She's like, Sabrina did it. She did the resurrection. This is all her fault.
Yes. So you can expect that to lead into season 2, or part 2, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in waves. They'll work together. They'll be enemies. They'll work together. They'll be enemies.
Fine with that.
That's great.
Okay, Chastity, what did you think of all the horror, all the blood, the practical effects? It was great.
Oh my God, like actually scary stuff. Like there were times where I was turning down the volume because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was just getting nervous. Like there were scary scenes that really did get to me. Like when they eat that witch, when she like kills herself and then they all just like go ham on like eating her body. That was nuts. Zombie Tommy also got me.
Oh, just the tapping on the door.
Yes, the tapping on the door.
Here we go.
Here we go. That was creepy. And going into limbo and like all the souls around, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was afraid. It was much darker than I expected, especially with Sabrina towards the end. What the hell, Sabrina?
Okay, I don't know if this falls into good or bad, but Sabrina straight up murks someone in cold blood with only a hunch that the plan will go steadily enough to bring them back to life.
face of a psychopath.
I loved it. Okay, let's talk about what didn't work for this
Numbers
season.
1 through 10, Salem didn't talk.
Oh my God.
Salem should have talked a few times, at least when it was key to what was going on in her life, instead of her just like, oh yeah? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, to a fucking cat.
Come on, the damn cat doesn't need to talk. I get it. This is a new show. They don't have to have it talk. It's going to talk.
I love Salem.
They hinted at it already at the end of the season that the cat's probably going to talk at some point, and there's a reason why it's not talking. Well, we'll see.
Salem.
Well done. Good boy.
It's not important to the script to have the cat talk in this new show. I understand why fans want it, but still, it's okay.
But remember how good he was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
I'll never get chest like this. I look like a Victrola.
Good idea. Then we won't have to listen to you complain.
Salem Saberhagen, my man.
All right, fine, he can talk next season. Okay, let's talk about the mortal world of Greendale.
What mortal world of Greendale? I don't know anything about it, and the few people that I have seen are boring as hell until the end.
Her friends were used just as a plot point for certain episodes where you need like a monster of the week, even to the story with the Kinkles and how that came to play was just about resurrection, how you can bring someone back to life.
And didn't really develop Harvey at all.
No, just for Sabrina, that was it. Harvey was left on the side, Roz, the rest of the crew, same thing.
Yeah.
Only here for a little bit to, spurt out some lines and then let's get back to Sabrina.
Exactly, and it just made me feel like, what really is there for Sabrina to tie her back to the mortal world? There's nothing compelling there, there's nothing interesting there. Everything seems way more interesting in the witch side of things. So why are we supposed to feel bad for her, or that she feels any attachment to this world that we know nothing about?
It's because she's a kid and she wants to be with her friends and, moving away, starting a new school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, watching it as an audience, you're like, I don't care about these kids, screw that.
It's like, can we get to the witch stuff, please?
Yeah.
Please.
The hounds invoked, the door opened, the price paid in blood. Thomas Kinkle, we entreat thee. Rise, rise, rise!
All right, let's go back to that killing for a second, that sacrifice that
Yes, killing
Sabrina
Agatha.
makes. Yes.
All right, so Sabrina is too self-righteous, too out of control. She has no respect for authority, and she just acts like the rules don't apply to her at all. It's nuts.
She's a
It
kid.
is crazy. But I don't know, I'm trying to picture other main characters that would never go that far and just kill someone in cold blood. They'd
was
feel
awesome.
a little bit bad about it. This was just, I don't know how I feel about this. It's just so dark.
Again, she thinks she knows everything, so killing someone's like, don't worry, they'll come back to life. I'll figure it out later. I was like, okay, well, this has got to come back around
She's
in
out
season
of control.
2.
All right, let's jump into some references and Easter eggs. First, let's start with some references to mythology and witchcraft. Let's start with familiars. On the show, familiars are goblins that take an animal form. Partnered with a witch, they offer each other protection. In the first Sabrina comic, familiars are described as animals that help witches with small malicious errands. This is taken from the idea of familiar spirits of European folklore. Sometimes referred to as animal guides, familiar spirits were supernatural entities that served witches and assisted them with practicing magic. Next, the witch's mark. Ambrose discovers a witch's mark on Connor's body. During the witch trials, witch hunters spoke of witch's marks, or devil's marks, that identified individuals as witches. It was believed that the devil permanently marked witches by clawing or branding their skin at the end of their initiation rites as a seal of their service to him.
Sabrina takes a bite of the Malum Malus, an apple from the oldest tree in the orchard, and gets a disturbing vision of the future from it. Malum Malus translates in Latin to bad apple or evil apple, but as far as we're aware, isn't part of witch lore or demonology. In episode 2, we get the Church of Night. The Church of the Night shares a few characteristics with the widespread stereotypes of Satanists during the satanic panic phenomenon that started in the 1970s. These include multi-generational families of devil worshippers, witchcraft, practices of human sacrifice, and cannibalism. Hilda tells Sabrina that her father could have been a movie star like Cousin Montgomery.
Could have been a movie star if you'd chosen, like Cousin Montgomery, but no.
This could be a tongue-in-cheek reference to actress Elizabeth Montgomery, star of the classic TV sitcom Bewitched.
In episode 2, we see the Dark Baptism, which may be inspired by initiations in witchcraft and paganism. According to Occult World, initiation, quote, marks the psychological crossing of a threshold into new territories, knowledge, and abilities. The website describes a historical initiation ceremony that shares similar characteristics with Sabrina's Dark Baptism. It takes place in a remote location at night at which the devil is present. The devil baptizes the initiate, gives them a new secret name, and a devil's mark. The devil cuts them and has them sign pacts. In episode 3, Sabrina is charged with breach of promise. Breach of promise was a civil wrong in common law dating back to the Middle Ages. If a man changed his mind after proposing to a woman, he would be in breach of that promise of engagement, which was considered a legally binding contract. Also in episode 3, when Sabrina is facing trial, Ambrose refers her to Daniel Webster, a lawyer who learned witch law from Sabrina's father. This version of Daniel Webster is inspired by the 1936 short story The Devil and Daniel Webster by Stephen Vincent Benet. It tells the story of a farmer who sells his soul to the devil and is defended by Daniel Webster. Daniel Webster was also an actual person who was a famous lawyer and former U.S. Secretary of State under 3 presidents.
In episode 4, Ambrose uses astral projection to go on a date. The ancient idea of astral projection, which is described as a willful out-of-body experience, is spread across multiple cultures. The term was coined by a theosophist of the 19th century.
Dear Caesar. Have you two completely taken leave of your senses?
Now, the birds watching Ambrose while he astral projects are psychopomps. In many religions, psychopomps are creatures responsible for escorting dead souls to the afterlife. They have been depicted as different creatures, but as we've seen, the birds turn up in masses as they wait outside the homes of the soon-to-be dying.
The sleep demon Batibat comes from the Batibat, a vengeful demon from Filipino mythology, specifically Ilocano folklore. Batibat takes the form of a huge old woman and was blamed as the cause of sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, the sudden death of adults and adolescents during sleep. In episode 6, the demon Apophis that possesses Uncle Jesse is named after the ancient Egypt deity Apophis, or Apep, who represented chaos and appears in art as a giant serpent.
Now, there are a dozen nods to old classic horror throughout Sabrina. Our very own Chris Hayner got to visit the set a few months back with the production designers and actually pulled out some pretty cool stuff on it. Now, you can find the full list of all the references from everything we got on that set visit over at the site, or you can click the link in the description below. Now, one of the biggest homages to the horror genre in the Chilean Adventures isn't to a specific movie, but rather to the master of horror himself, Clive Barker. The halls of the Academy of the Unseen Arts are adorned with a variety of original paintings by Barker. Speaking of Barker, there are a number of Hellraiser Easter eggs scattered throughout the series, with many of them appearing at the home of Madame Satan. The tiles of the entryway of her home are a recreation of the tiles seen in the Cotton House in Hellraiser.
There are plenty of architectural nods to the Dario Argento classic horror film Suspiria as well. In Father Blackwood's office, the doors to the room, while not exact replicas, were made to heavily resemble a pair of doors featured in Suspiria. Also, the ceiling of the Spellman mortuary is a replica of one that was crashed through in Suspiria. Alright, so that was part 1 of Sabrina. I can't wait to watch more, but we're gonna have to wait a little bit. So let's talk about what the future holds. So, Riverdale, will there ever be a crossover? What do you think?
That's the big elephant in the room, and yes, I think there's a plan here. You can tell from the first season.
Right.
They're baby steps here.
Yeah,
to
they
get that
mentioned
crossover.
Riverdale twice by name.
Which is totally normal. You knew that was gonna happen. You knew they were gonna have some name drops, but when it comes to anything bigger, like a certain character showing up in town, give them a few years. I don't think that's going to be just sudden, but I think they're setting the table for something like that.
But there was an Easter egg if you look close in episode 3. On top of the bookshelf in Baxter High, there's a Jughead crown etched there with "was here" under it.
Now, without going into full-on Riverdale spoilers, a character dies in Riverdale, yet somehow is still kicking in Greendale. Now, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, who runs both shows, has already addressed the issue in an interview with Entertainment Tonight. He says, "It suggests a very deep mythology where time and space bends. It seemed like it was pretty final, but yet here he is in Greendale. But in Greendale, everyone pops up. The dead don't stay dead for long in Greendale." Now, with that said, depending on how far you got in this season of Riverdale, they're obviously doing a few things that are a little bit more on the side of,
Yeah, it's getting dark.
Darker,
Yeah.
power. We're seeing some weird witchcraft or something going on right now with the
happening.
cult and the farm. With that said, I can see a scenario down the line where we get a special crossover event, maybe something with zombies, or have to revive. Someone needs to be resurrected, maybe Archie, Jughead, someone dies. You gotta send them over to Greendale.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's how we're gonna get our crossover, whenever it does happen, but not anytime soon.
Afterlife of Archie.
Also, one thing that I didn't expect for the final episode was she got her iconic hair, the white hair.
Yeah, the white hair from the comics.
I mean, looks great.
It's a good look. It's
Yeah.
a good look. And I think it just shows her full transition into embracing her witchhood. And now she's walking with the rest of the plastics.
That's fine.
Yeah, so. All right, let us know what you thought of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 1 in the comments below,
Yes.
or also hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Chastity_V,
I'm at Greg FT155.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.